Greetings fellas, welcome to my updated 1.2 Luocha guide. The amount of controversies, the amount of dilemmas, the amount of arguments brought me to bring up this guide again, and this time my guide has been a lot better since the first one, and I can solely conclude that the long way since the E2 theory crafting is still correct to this day. And guess what? Outgoing Healing Boost is the worst body piece on Luocha. As proven in all my other videos, I've been using defense since day 1 and it's serving me well for all my MoC 10 clears. Okay, so this is one of the most controversial parts of Luocha, but before we get into that, let's get into the main review. Starting with Luocha's Light Cone, we have Echoes of the Coffin, which is the best in slot for Luocha, and this will give him 3 energy at Superimposition 1, and all allies will gain X amount of speed for 1 turn upon using ultimate, so Luocha turns into a harmony character in this case. Superimposition 1 is good enough for most applications, however at Superimposition 2 he will break a specific energy regeneration breakpoint in the game where Luocha uses ultimate on 3 enemies and using 3 basic attacks, so that means you can get 100% energy in 3 turns, and Superimposition 2 allows that to happen. At Superimposition 1 however it does not happen, so don't try to use an energy regen rope because it's not worth it. Instead use attack rope and you're pretty much set. For other light cones wise, do not use shared feeling because Luocha's Outgoing Healing Boost is overkill. At level 2 skill, level 3 talent, 2.5k attack, I've tried other Luochas from my friends list and they are performing so underwhelmingly. So shared feeling doesn't feel optimal. What I've tried is that I've seen people using quid pro quo and actually this works. Since Luocha's Outgoing Healing Boost is overkill, you can finally use a Superimposition 1 quid pro quo, which is good enough already, and this regenerates energy for any ally who is lower energy than 50% energy. So you're giving Luocha even more supportive capability and a new ability which is regenerating energy for any ally, which is so strong. So quid pro quo is the next best in slot for Luocha. For his traces, talent, cycle of life, and bonus abilities sanctified are the best synergy that the game can offer for any kind of support character in the game. Reason why so is because Luocha attacks, all allies heal as long as the field is active, and the attacker himself can also get healed, so that means all 4 teammates will be healed when they attack any enemy in the field. So very strong combination here, so it eliminates the disadvantages of one of another. Very strong, right? And skill here, I don't see many people using the auto heal as efficiently as what other people do, and the thing is that you don't want to use auto heal on Luocha himself because it is a total waste and it feels criminally wrong for Luocha to heal himself. Instead, this auto heal should go to other allies because don't forget, Luocha is a healer for a reason. So the skill here, a level 2 skill is good enough even with a 9k HP blade on the team, so definitely strong enough, and I won't level this up. For the talent, it is good to level up also, but I'm telling you at level 3 talent he's still doing fine with 2.5k attack. So for the basic attack, nothing much, just very basic stuff. You won't land any imprisonment, so don't stack effect hit rate on him. And for ultimate, basically you don't want to upgrade this at all because he's doing so little amounts of attack and damage. But from the ultimate and the skill, he gains 1 stack of Abyss Flower each, and this means if you stack 2 flowers together, you will activate the field for 2 turns. For the sub traces here, those start traces here, 5 out of 5 star from me. However, I feel that Luocha needs more defense than attack, so I could have wished that all these attack traces here are defense, because Luocha's attack is still overkill and his healing is still overkill. Bonus ability here, which is basically like Natasha, March, removing debuffs, very good. And then you can stack at a maximum of 30% effect rest here, because this bonus ability ups your effect rest by 70% by default. So that means a maximum of 30% is needed left. And I'll tell you why Broken Kill is quite good for Luocha, but it depends on the team. Okay, the relic choices. The worst possible arguments can come from here, and I've experienced it firsthand. Alright, so the few possible options here. We have a Musketeer of Wildweed, which is his best option since his first day of release, and Space Healing Station or Fleet of the Ageless. But what I found was that when I tested Fleet of Ageless from Bronya's kit, he is doing much better than a Space Healing Station for some reason. Why so? Because Fleet of the Ageless is giving him HP and he needs to survive. Luocha, unfortunately, is like Tingyun. The more I see Luocha's face, the more I see Tingyun's face. You know why? Because Tingyun and Luocha is almost as weak as each other in terms of survivability department. So don't try to stack so much attack on Luocha. That's my first advice. So what I do here is to stack defense percentage here and another defense percentage on Luocha. Sorry about that, that was Tingyun's. But I'm stacking defense here and stacking defense here for my Luocha, so that he doesn't spam that auto heal on himself, because it feels criminally wrong to do that. Okay, and for the next best relic set 4-piece here, it will be Eagle of Twilight. But however, Eagle of Twilight line is for very advanced players, those who can manage the Abyss stacks and fast forward ability properly. And what I feel is that it's very hard to do so, and only experienced players will use Eagle of Twilight line. But do note that your speed and attack will decrease. However, like I said, 2.5k attack is good enough for a Luocha, according to my initial under-level testing. So bear that in mind. Okay, then for your feat will be speed as usual, because faster Luocha means more heals and definitely more field application. Then for your rope here, if you have an S1 Echoes of the Coffin, use attack percentage. Don't use energy regenerate because it's not worth it. And then for S2 Echoes of the Coffin, you want to use energy regenerate because it helps you break a specific breakpoint again, like I discussed earlier. I tried HP percentage sphere here, however, I felt that defense is giving him so much more survivability than a HP sphere at even a level 9. So I have updated my builds and I swapped out my HP for a defense percentage, and Luocha becomes so much tankier. It's unbelievable. For the substats, you definitely want to focus on speed, defense percentage, and HP percentage, as well as effect rest. And like I said, effect rest is the most underrated stat in the entire game, and I still hold true to this fact, as I've shown from my Blade solo MoCs. My Blade had like 73% effect rest, and he's deflecting all Kafka's dominations. Oh, that was good. It felt so satisfying, right? So 25% effect rest on Luocha is okay, but I need a 5% more to make it 30%. So 30 plus 70% from the ability will give him 100% effect rest. But then again, it's good to have at least 20%. Try at least 20% for a start, then go from there. Alright. Then for the other piece that I want to talk about is Broken Q, and this gives him effect rest of 10%. And Luocha's effect rest goes above 30%, which automatically is the case for a general Luocha build, but not from the bonus ability, mind you, because that doesn't count. All allies crit damage increased by 10%. So good! This is perfect synergy for Blade. And it's actually better synergy compared to Fleet of the Ageless when I tested it out. So definitely for Blade teams, you want to swap out your Fleet of the Ageless and Space Healing Station for a Broken Q, as this is Luocha's new best in slot. Okay, and then a Fleet of the Ageless is only better if you want to use it for a Seele team, especially Swordplay Seele, because she wants attack percentage more than any other star in the game. Not crit rate, not crit damage. She wants attack percentage because of the sheer amount of consistency the Swordplay Lycone provides her. Okay, now back to Luocha. Like I said, Eagle Twilight line is good. 2-piece Knight of Purity Palace is also good. And actually 4-piece is not bad, only if you have E2. But having too much defense on Luocha is not good also, because you want to optimize between healing and defensive potential. So pretty much it. And like I like to remind you again that defense on your body piece is mandatory. And I've argued so many times on this fact, and I'm not backing down. I won't apologize for this. Outgoing Healing Boost is F tier on Luocha. He really is. He doesn't need the healing, guys. Come on. Okay, next. The Eidolons. From what I've tested, E1 is basically a straight up upgrade, no disadvantages. However, attack of all allies increases by 20% when the field is active, and this doesn't help Blade as much, but it can help because some of the attack is used on Blade, but as a secondary metric to count his damage. Alright, E2, it can be good and bad for Blade, because Blade doesn't like shields, remember. Blade doesn't get stacks when enemies attack a shield, and his HP doesn't decrease, but the shield can be good only during boss DPS phases. But for dealing with ads and trash mobs, you don't want E2 on your Luocha. So this is actually bad for Luocha in terms of ads and trash mobs. But it's actually good for boss DPS, especially against the ape, because the ape likes to target Blade, but then again Blade doesn't use skill as much, so and he uses enhanced basic attack more often than his skill, so that is not good. So I'm heading towards a negative review to E2 specifically for Blade. However, E2 is perfect for Sealer and Jingyuan since they get shields and they love their shields. They definitely appreciate a shield. And what I like to do with E2, right, is to use E2 on Tingyun, for example, who normally gets hit a lot of the time in the battle. So what I feel was that even with Tingyun with full health, right, I just spam the skill on her consistently so I can get a shield on her. And that really helps Tingyun a lot to survive. Okay, then E3, we have a skill and basic attack buff, which is not good in my opinion, since skill is already overkill and basic attack does nothing. E4 turns Luocha into a nihility character where when the field is active, enemies become weaker. And guess what? When enemies become weakened during the field, Luocha doesn't really need defense on his relics. I tried one guy's Luocha with crit rate instead, and guess what? His Luocha is doing so much damage with the crit rate, but he got crit damage substats. So E4 can actually turn Luocha into a sub DPS unit also in a way, since you can invest into other stats rather than having a defense percentage. So you can focus onto like crit rate or something. But then again, Luocha's damage is not good even though with the crit rate equipped. So don't even think about doing that. And Luocha's healing is already overkill. So E4 is not really needed, but nice to have. And other units like Asta don't really need to run defense percentage when you use E4. So bear in mind that. But again, nice to have, but not mandatory. E5, we are having a talent upgrade, but this is not really needed as we are having defense percentage, body, and orbs on our support characters. So this can actually mitigate the need of E5. E6 provides Luocha with an extra ability to reduce all enemies all-type rest by 20% for 2 turns, and that is actually really strong. So he's becoming like a mini Silver Wolf in a way. So more damage, everyone's happy. For your Memory of Chaos teams, you want to save Luocha for the harder bosses, or bosses like the Ape example in MoC 08, where he does very high single target damage, and Luocha can help with the debuffing as well as healing. Because remember, the damage boost from the Ape can be removed via debuff, so that is possible too. And do I need to say again that Clara and Luocha makes the most indestructible team ever? This is pretty much God mode already. But then again, if you don't have a Clara, that is fine. You can have a Blade instead. And he does wonders with Blade, Luocha, Silverwolf, and Bronya, for example. But then again, some players might not have these characters. That's totally fine. You can use Ting Yun, for example, and then Silverwolf, or even Bronya here. That's totally fine. We've got a good Blade team here. And then, what I like to tell you is that Luocha and Fire MC are very good together, but it's too overpowered in the defensive department. So Luocha can actually run without a defense pillar. So you don't need much 7, you don't need a Trailblazer Fire. So what you can actually do is to put Blade, like just now, what I said, this team. Or you can even use a Sealer, Asta, and Bronya together. Or probably if you want Silverwolf here, that's also good. This team works. And I've tested it out myself. It's really strong. So the other team that I like to use when the Luocha Revelation appeared in my spreadsheets and in my E2 theory crafting, I did a Clara, Luocha, as well as a Pela and a Ting Yun. Oh, this team is good. This team is god tier. Especially when Pela gives the backup debuff, and Luocha also has a debuff from his ultimate. So that means Pela can actually remove buff, and then Luocha can also remove buff. And then Pela acts as a backup for that, in case Luocha's ultimate doesn't activate in time for the buff removal. So very strong team here. This is pretty much a god team here, but the thing is, many people don't have Clara. That's totally fine. You can even use the Seele instead. And with Luocha, pretty much you want to use a team where you want to maximize offensive potential most of the time. That's pretty much for my Luocha guide. Cheers!